time for our local business review. And Wendy Hendricks, Barry Kirchhoff, both here again with me today, bringing guests like you always do. Barry, how are you?
I am doing fine. Thanks for having us back.
You guys are all very colorful today.
Well, we want to talk about that. Wendy, I have to point out, I love your blazer. It's 55 Thunderbird Torch Red, and I'm sporting a 56 Thunderbird Peacock Blue shirt.
Yes.
And our special guest from Mark's Speed Shop is Mark Theisen, and he's sporting the Henry Ford Black, which is on his 30 Model A coupe that is his first street rod. So today we're going to be talking about Mark and his business. And Kelly, I'll flip it back to you because you probably have some questions.
Well, I have a lot of questions. Mark, thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
I think black is his favorite color.
Yes.
Black is classy.
Black cars, trucks, you name it, huh?
You name it, I got it.
I've heard a lot of interesting things about you. You've never been here on the radio, though, which is so surprising to me because you've been in business for a really long time. If you haven't heard of Mark, he's the owner of Mark's Speed Shop. It's over in Waite Park. They do repairs and restorations, mostly on American-made cars. But he works on cars of all makes and models, ranging from like 1909 to 2020. And I guess there's a niche out there that you kind of realized that there was that people were not working on antique cars, huh?
I didn't consider it a niche back then.
Yeah.
It was just something that I loved to do, so I got into it. And as my life went on, it became more of a niche because less people did it.
Oh, so it just happened to work out that way.
It worked out great.
Doing what you're supposed to be doing, huh?
I love it.
Isn't it funny how we all kind of find our way as we just do things that we really enjoy doing? That's
if it's meant to be. Yeah,
right?
Yeah, meant to be.
I love that. Tell me a little bit about your business. Now, do you come from a family of people that have always been into cars, or were you like the child that just had to have them? You had to have toys and cars and trucks, and your parents are like, what do we do with this guy?
We couldn't afford much when I was young. 9 siblings, so we had a family of 10. There's 2, 3, 4 of us that were into cars. Me and my older brother and my younger brother were mostly into it. I got into it when I was very young, before I was 10, helping my dad. He collected Model A Fords, so we got them running, bought them, sold them, dismantled them, whatever we did.
Wow.
And it kind of escalated from there.
You just grew up with it.
I grew up with it.
When
in
you
his
were
blood.
Yeah. Were you interested, or did your dad just say, come on, Mark, we're going out here and you got to work, and you just kind of started watching things and paying attention?
I don't remember that. It was just, you cut the grass, and on the weekends we'd go pick up old cars on the trailer and bring them home, and that's just what we did.
That's what you did.
We had a big backyard, so we played mush ball a lot. If you know what that is.
I don't know what mush ball is.
Mush ball
is it like croquet?
It's like a big giant softball, but it's soft.
Oh.
So you can't hit it as far, because we used to hit home runs and it'd bounce off my mom's siding on the house, so she didn't like that. So the mush ball didn't go as far.
Makes sense. A mush ball, yeah, it's not going to probably break as much stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So your dad was the founder of the St. Cloud Area Auto Club?
He was one of the founders of the Pantowners, yes.
Wow.
That's a lot of history in St.
A lot
Louis.
of history.
Kidding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of history in your family.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of history. It was just part of life. We didn't think of it as anything special.
Sure. This is funny because, my kids, I'm on the radio, and I always think, maybe they'll think that's cool that mom's on the radio. Oh, my God, no, they won't tell their friends.
Oh, really?
Oh, no. I don't think anybody they know knows their mom's on the radio. It's like, don't tell anybody. Probably because I tell stories about them all the time, and they don't want them knowing. But it's sort of like, you do what you do, and it's nothing special to you, but to other people like us, I think it's fascinating what you do. Yeah. And my mom loves cars. She used to love to go to car shows, so that was her thing, and I was always so amazed that they didn't have anything when they were young either. What they did was they drove around, and they always looked at old cars, and they did that kind of stuff, and she loved that. So she could go and pick out colors like you. I'm like, wow, Mom. Not me, though. I didn't grow up that way, so it's kind of
you may have some new listeners today because we were at a social event about a week ago, and I was advertising that Mark Speed Shop would be one of our guests on your program. So.
And everybody say, Mark's going to be on the radio?
Oh, yeah, he'll get some
boy.
feedback. I can guarantee you.
Well, and this is all going back to, we were talking before we came on about why we started this. And it just kind of evolved, thanks to you, Kelly, for shining the light on local businesses. But, look he's been in business how long? And this is what it's all about. I want to get our local businesses out there. Another niche that he has, which maybe Barry could talk about, was the female issue we were just talking about in the lounge area.
Well, we usually talk, sometimes I bring on SBDC clients. Mm-hmm. Mark and I have, he's worked on my Thunderbird for over 30 years, done a lot of great work on it. And, so we talk business, but we talk it more of a casual.
Sure.
Because he's got it figured out. And trust me, 30 years ago, he had it figured out. I was at the shop one day, and I had my Thunderbird in there, and I'm kind of waiting to talk to him. And here comes one of his female customers with a plate of cookies. Oh, Mark, I brought these for you. And I go, what's up with this? And my wife was having some problems where she was taking her car because she didn't feel she was being treated respectfully. So I said, go over and try Mark.
Yeah.
She liked Mark because Mark explains everything and tells them, and he gets high marks with the female clientele because he's not there to sell them something. He talks about this may 6 months from now, this could happen or this could happen.
Just like you would to anybody else, any guy walking in. Tell it to him straight.
Well, yes. And he's
a customer.
Yeah, he's not a parts replacer. He's a true analyst, automotive analyst. When you take your car to him, like I can say firsthand, especially on the Classic, he gives you options and always, he's got a passion for it.
So, Mark, you've been doing this for basically your whole life. It's been your business, right? This is your business. Have you had fluctuations, or for what you do, is it kind of a constant, you always have something to work on kind of story?
There's no shortage of work.
Yeah.
I do new car work, old car work, so they kind of feed off each other. Everybody that has an old car has a new car.
Sure.
And vice versa. And so I use that to either, I get work out of that, or sometimes I buy and sell out of that.
Okay.
Hey, my neighbor's got an old car in their garage they're thinking of selling. Oh, yeah, who's that?
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Give me a phone number.
Yeah. He's like, totally got the social networking thing figured out, but it wasn't anything he figured out. It was just a way of doing business. You know your neighbors. You know your people you work with.
Well, that's it. Small business is getting to know the person working on your car, turning the wrench. Get to know people in your life.
Yeah.
Don't just text them on the phone and not know what color their hair is,
For you, do you ever have...
if they have hair.
If they have hair. Funny. Do you ever have trouble at certain times, like during this pandemic, looking for pieces, parts? Or are you more like, it doesn't matter for what I do because I'm so connected with, you can go to junkyards and find pieces. You can go to other people. Or did you have difficulty during that last few years?
Yes, there was difficulty with kind of parts all the way around, new cars, old cars. Depends upon where they came from. Sometimes there was a shipping issue.
Yeah.
Location. Sometimes you had to wait 3 months to get it. So it's a hard thing to wait for a part that long. And that's why a lot of shops don't work on old cars, is they can't afford to have that car sitting in their stall for, if it's in there, it's getting billed out by the hour.
Sure, and it's taking up space, and there's other vehicles you could be working on.
Yeah, so you got to have the room to do it.
So how many cars can you work on at one time? I mean, you might have this one painted over here and you're working on something else.
I can work on 6 inside, but I also work on cars outside during the summer.
Okay.
I love doing that, so.
Do you just get up at 6 and start after a cup of coffee and work till you can't work anymore? I mean, or do you have an end time? Nope, at these days I make sure I'm done by 6 o'clock.
You mean, is he like us?
Yeah, we don't stop.
No.
Do you stop, Barry? I don't.
No, there's being self-employed, especially with what I do, is not a 8 to 5 job. It's I don't take work home with me. I learned to do that a long time ago. Once I lock the door, I'm done.
That's really good.
Good for you, smart man.
Wow.
And sometimes you have to get to a certain point in a repair or whatever you're doing where you feel comfortable to go home so that your morning's not so hectic.
Yeah.
So it's, you just got to ask my wife. She'll tell you I work too late.
But, for what he does, it's a little bit different than for things like Wendy and I. Our jobs are not that physical, mentally draining. But for you, you've got a the mental thing going on because you got to figure out problems that may have never even happened before.
Exactly.
Ways to fix things, being creative. Plus, it's the physical work of doing it.
And you need the part. Like, he physically needs the part to be able to complete the job.
Right. There's so many pieces.
Well, the diagnosis is the key to everything, no matter what it is. You got to diagnose it right, weigh out your options. Do you go a new part, used part, expensive part, cheap part? And then you got to order the part and then do the physical part and put it on. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about having one of these shows on TV? I love to watch those repair shows. Mark's Speed Shop. People come in, they bring you a vehicle, and they're like, "Okay, I can just see you working on something." It'd be fun to have him on a show, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That would be fun. I don't think I could handle the stress, but 20 years ago, maybe.
Right. Do you ever get to watch any of those shows, though?
I do.
Yeah. You're like, that's wrong. That's wrong.
Well, they only show you what they want you to see, but it's not realistic in my life what they show.
Yeah.
It doesn't
that's what I
happen like
wondered.
that.
It's always bits and pieces of things.
Yes.
I
that's
laugh
what they
about
do.
the music industry ones too, because I'm like, this is not the way it works, but whatever.
One fun question we were talking about questions is about stories. I think you said when we talked to you that every person has a story about a car, and that's always what I like to bring into businesses, that human element, because they're not just cars, there's stories to every car. So I was just thinking in the parking lot, what is my car story? And I remember
You do?
When I was in college, I bought an Acura Integra, and it was a shift, and I didn't know how to shift. and I was living in the cities, and I had parallel park and all that, but I learned fast.
You learned fast?
But I remember I drove out of that dealership, and I didn't know how to drive it.
Oh, that's so funny. I had that same experience. I was playing music up north, and I needed something to haul my piano and stuff in, and I worked with a bass player who was a car salesman. And he said, Kelly, you're going to buy this Mazda pickup, and it's beautiful. I get there, and he goes, it's a stick shift. We're going to learn how to drive. And he threw me in there. Of course, my dad tried to teach me that stuff, but I didn't keep it. But anyway, that was. Do you have a car story?
Yeah.
A favorite car story?
A favorite car story? No, I just have many. I just got to grab one here that comes to mind. Talking about the stick shift, after I got married, my wife, we sold her Malibu and bought a Honda with a stick shift. And I tried to teach her, and that wasn't going so good. And her cousin took over and taught her a little bit. And it was parked outside in the morning, and she had to get to work. So I watched her drive away from the curb, screeching the tires. And, that was one great memory. Yeah.
How about you, Barry? You must. I know Aunt Barry's answer.
The car stories?
Yeah. I'm wearing the color.
Well, I got a lot of. My first car was actually a 1937 Oldsmobile 2-door deluxe, and then I kind of moved up from there.
What color was that one?
That was kind of a metallic brown, and brown's not my favorite color.
It's not your favorite. Well, Mark, if people they're going, I've got a car I'd like somebody to work on, somebody I can trust, somebody who knows what they're doing. Obviously, everybody tells me that those are the things and the qualities that you have. So that's a wonderful thing that people are talking about you that way.
I'm glad.
The 5-star man here.
I'm glad that followed me, yes.
Yeah. So if people want to get a hold of you to ask you if you can work on their vehicles, how would they do that? What's the best way to do it?
They can email me at markspeedshop@yahoo.com.
Okay. 2
S's after Mark. They can text me. They can call me at my shop number, 320-251-9484. They can text me. I won't give my cell number right now, but
yeah.
Hey, what about your home phone number?
No,
don't have one of those actually.
Where are you located? Where's Mark's Speed Shop?
I am located on 6th Avenue North, on the corner of 6th Avenue and 3rd Street North in Wade Park.
Gotcha. Okay.
Kind of where the old tow truck is sitting. I have a 47 Ford tow truck that sits there, and everybody seems to recognize that, and they come by and take pictures of it, take their graduation pictures by it.
How nice.
All that kind of stuff, yeah.
That's great.
Another thing I love about what he said is that he often sees people, and maybe he doesn't always remember names, but he knows what kind of car they drive.
All the time.
Isn't that funny?
But that
All the
goes
time.
again to the personal element of the local business. You see these things now where people can order a car online and they send it to your driveway. no interaction. But,
yeah,
you know,
I know. Isn't that the craziest
The purpose
thing?
of what we're doing here is to feature local businesses, and these relationships matter. I mean, he can look at someone and know what kind of car they drive.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the service.
If
that
he
you
hasn't
get.
worked on that car for 20 years, he can say, I remember when you brought this thing in here.
We put a ball joint in it. Yeah. And they look
Yeah.
at me like, how do you remember that?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I remember. I don't know what your
Yeah.
name is, but I remember putting a ball joint in your
Yeah,
car.
isn't that crazy?
And license plates, he remembers.
Really?
Well, because you got to write them down on the invoice.
Oh, I see.
So,
That's crazy. So a person's name is their license plate number, kind of.
yeah.
Mark turns the key in the business, but his real hobby is Carvana, because once a year we go to a car show and we take an empty trailer and we sleep in the trailer. And last summer, the car show's in July in Wisconsin, he brought home a 59 Chevrolet. And you can watch Mark. He loves to do the deal, buying the car. And then it's just, that's
Super
entertainment. That is good entertainment. We have a lot of fun at that, watching you buy the cars.
That is fun
Yeah.
for both of us.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Well, Mark, it's been a blast having you on the show, and I'm so glad that you've had successful business basically your whole entire life doing something that you love. It's
Thank you
amazing.
very much.
So
Yes,
thank you for being a
inspiring.
guest
I do love
today.
it.
That's great.
Well, I hope I can keep on doing it for a while.
Yeah, we hope so too.
Yeah.
That's
So
what
do
I,
I.
that's what I encourage everyone to do out there is do what you love.
Do what you love. But remember, when you do business, just like every other business person we've talked to, people go into business so they don't have to work so much. That's not the way it works. When you go into business, you're going to be working and probably a lot more longer hours than you ever were before when you're working for someone.
And there's no PTO with being self-employed.
Good point. It's the truth. And there's the give and take. You love what you do, so you go every now and then.
But it's yours, and you control your own destiny.
Yes, that is a plus.
All right. Mark Theisen from Mark's Speech Up, our guest today. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you very much.
Wendy Barry, thank you as always.
Well, thank you for having us, as always.
And I know next week we're bringing Laura in from Reading Resources, correct?
Yes.
Very exciting. All right.
Another great story.
All these great stories on local businesses. We're so glad to have them in town. Hopefully, you'll keep them all going and maybe think of something that you want to do.